Hey, what's going on YouTube? It's Brett James back again with another video. And today, man, I'm going to be talking about the first round of the NBA 2021 playoffs. It's officially concluded after yesterday's game, Game 7 versus the Dallas Mavericks and the Los Angeles Clippers. What a crazy series. And I kind of want to go through it and give my breakdown and my little bit of an analysis on every single series in the first round, both East and Western Conference. So let's stop wasting time, man. Let's hop right into this video, though. Now, I'm going to start off in the Eastern Conference. The number 1 seed, Philadelphia 76ers versus the number 8 seed, Washington Wizards. Now, the Wizards were in the play-in tournament. They worked their way in, and Russell Westbrook, even though he was a little bit compromised towards the end of the series, they were able to pull out a win versus the Philadelphia 76ers to force a Game 5, even though they ended up losing that series in 5. Great series by the Philadelphia 76ers. We knew that one was basically going to be a wrap from the get-go. That's really it for that series. Now, on to the next series, the number 2 seed Brooklyn Nets versus the number 7 seed Boston Celtics. The Celtics were a no match for the Brooklyn Nets in the Eastern Conference. I think that was pretty much a given as well, especially with missing guys like Kemba Walker and Jaylen Brown. Jason Tatum was a one-man show, and he was nothing short of spectacular. The Brooklyn Nets put on a show as well. Even though Kyrie Irving did struggle in Game 3 versus the Boston Celtics in his return back there was a lot of commotion going on with the fans. Not just him getting a water bottle thrown at him, but a lot of guys in the NBA first round. There's just been too much heckling going on with fans and these players in the first round, and that needs to stop. And obviously the point is, though, the fact that the Brooklyn Nets were going to be no match for the Boston Celtics, and they showed that out in 5. Now on to the number 3 seed Milwaukee Bucks versus the number 6 seed Miami Heat. A rematch of last year's Eastern Conference semifinals. I don't think anybody expected this series to be a sweep, especially after that first game. I was just absolutely marveled at that shot by Chris Middleton to end Game 1 and to hit that game-winning shot. What a phenomenal game that was. So I thought that this series would be tight, especially because the Miami Heat do have a lot of dogs on their teams, and they do got some good perimeter shooting with guys like Duncan Robinson and Tyler Hero, who was a no-show in this series. Giannis and this Bucks team showed up and showed out, just dominating the Miami Heat games 2, 3, and 4. What an absolutely phenomenal show by Giannis and the rest of the crew, going out and proving why they are the number 3 seed and why Giannis is a former 2-time league MVP. And on to the last matchup in the Eastern Conference, the number 4 seed Atlanta Hawks and the number 5 seed New York Knicks. I think this was the most highly anticipated series in the Eastern Conference, at least in the first round. And I don't think the Knicks expected that from Trae Young, who was an all-star snub this year, which I thought was already blasphemous. But the way Trae Young has played these postseason games is absolutely phenomenal. The New York Knicks were probably favored to win the series, not just because of the fact that they had home court advantage, but they had one of the best defenses in the NBA. But Trae Young showed up and showed out. He is the new father of the New York Knicks after that performance and what he did to silence MSG. He even had the mayor of New York City come out and complain, telling him that's not how you play basketball. But Trae Young is an absolute showstopper. I could not believe what this guy was doing night in and night out, not just at Madison Square Garden, but also out at Phillips Arena. Trae Young was phenomenal. Julius Randle was horrendous, and this guy was averaging crazy numbers. I don't know the numbers off the top of my head in the regular season versus the Atlanta Hawks, and the Atlanta Hawks got swept in that regular season series. They lost to the Knicks 3-0, but in the postseason, they ended up winning that series in 5. Trae Young and the Hawks are for real. Now moving on to the Western Conference, we got the number 1 seed Utah Jazz, my Utah Jazz, versus the number 8 seed Memphis Grizzlies. Ja Morant and Dillon Brooks showed up and showed out in Game 1. The Utah Jazz were without Donovan Mitchell. After it was looking like he was going to be played, the doctors did not allow him to play, which ended up making him a little bit furious. But the Jazz came back and won that series in 5 games. Donovan Mitchell did not lose as soon as he returned back to the floor. For Game 2, the Jazz were clearly just the better team. Even though Memphis put up a dogfight every single night except for basically Game 5 when they got blown out of the waters, this Memphis team showed a lot of grit and grind, which is basically what their franchise is based off of. Ja Morant is a superstar in the making, and it is very obvious at a very young age. Ja Morant is for real. Dillon Brooks, after his first game, got shut down for the most part, but otherwise this Memphis team has a lot of promise, and I love the future that they've got. Utah's clearly just the better three-point shooting team. They've got more veteran leadership on this team, and they've got more superstar firepower all across the board. So this series was basically going to be a wrap as well as soon as Donovan Mitchell would return. Now on to the 2 seed Phoenix Suns versus the 7 seed Los Angeles Lakers. A very highly anticipated first round matchup. Devin Booker versus LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Now look, Heading into the series, I think if Anthony Davis and LeBron James were completely healthy, I would have picked the Lakers to win in 7. The Suns obviously came out in 6 and blew the NBA world and community away. Even though Chris Paul was compromised to a bit and to some degree, the Suns were able to come out on top because Devin Booker and Monty Williams are just that good. Devin Booker is officially on the level of being a superstar in this league, and he showed up and showed out the entire series. Of course, LeBron James was compromised. I don't like LeBron James walking back down the floor and complaining the last 3 minutes of the game. That's a story for another day. LeBron James, you're better than that. We hold you to a higher standard. I know the game was over, but it really wasn't. So LeBron, I don't like that look from you, man. Come on, you got to do better. But back to the Los Angeles Lakers, though. If Anthony Davis was healthy, they would have won this series, man. Sucks this guy's made out of glass because this guy cannot stay on the court and stay healthy to save his life. But good for the Phoenix Suns, man. Those fans deserve it after everything that they've been through the last couple of years, man, not being a playoff team. And now they jump up to the number 2 seed in the Western Conference. And they go and beat the 2020 NBA champs in LeBron James and Anthony Davis. Good for the Phoenix Suns, man. On to the number 3 seed Denver Nuggets versus the number 6 seed Damian Lillard led Portland Trail Blazers. That was a great series. Honestly, all 6 games, even though Denver came out on top and won that series in 6, the series was tied 2-2. And then we saw Damian Lillard put on a show for the ages. Personally, I'm 20 years old. That was one of the greatest NBA or sports games in general I have ever witnessed in my life. Individual performances. You could talk about Kobe Bryant's 60 points in his last game, Devin Booker's 70 in his game, Donovan Mitchell's 57, Carmelo Anthony's 63, LeBron James 61, you name it. That Damian Lillard performance, even in a loss, it was the equivalent to Patrick Mahomes losing the Super Bowl and having some of the most spectacular, phenomenal plays because he didn't have 2 offensive linemen. Damian Lillard is something to be reckoned with. I know Terry Stotts is gone now. That's a topic for another day. Damian Lillard, oh my goodness. I could not believe what I was watching with my eyes. 12 of 17 from 3, clutch shot after clutch shot after clutch shot. Step back, pulling up from 40 on these Denver Nuggets. I couldn't believe it. This man is a first ballot Hall of Famer. I don't care if this guy never gets to another Western Conference Finals in his time in Portland. Damian Lillard is that dude. And that is undeniable at this point. The most clutch player I have ever witnessed in NBA history. You could talk about LeBron. You could talk about Kobe, God rest his soul. Kevin Durant. Kawhi Leonard and Damian Lillard are on another level. And Damian's on a tier by himself. Sucks he had to lose that series. Congratulations to the Denver Nuggets, though. And then on to the last series in the Western Conference. The 4 seed Los Angeles Clippers versus the number 5 seed Dallas Mavericks. The first 6 games were all won on the road. The Clippers went down 2-0. I'm like, oh man, Mavs are going to sweep them. They're going to go back home for games 3 and 4. They ended up losing. Clippers go back home. Mavs win. Mavs are up 3-2. And then the Clippers end up winning the last 2 games, winning the series 4-3. Paul George showed out in this series, showing that he's not playoff. We'll see if he can repeat that versus a filthy Utah Jazz team. And then Kawhi Leonard, phenomenal. Nothing short of greatness. 45 points in Game 6. We know what Kawhi Leonard is. 2-time Finals MVP. One of the best defensive players in basketball. One of the most clutch players in the game of basketball, especially in the postseason time. Kawhi Leonard and the Clippers were terrific. Sucks Luka had 0 health, just like Jason Tatum in that first round series over in Boston versus the Brooklyn Nets, man. Luka Doncic was phenomenal in this series every single game. Kristaps Porzingis, Dorian Finney-Smith, Tim Hardaway Jr. These guys are not good enough to get the job done. Rick Carlisle, his time might be up in Dallas before we know it, and it might even be this offseason. As I said, topic for another day. But Luka Doncic, man, phenomenal young performance by him. He's 22, going to go down as one of the greatest players of all time. But the first round of the NBA playoffs was absolutely phenomenal. I love what I saw in the second round. I'm hoping is going to be even better. Even though I saw the Atlanta Hawks win last night versus the Philadelphia 76ers, and they showed up and showed out. The second round is going to be very, very highly anticipated, and I'm excited to see what the rest of the playoffs is to come. But that's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I want to know, what did you guys think about the first round, and what were some of you guys' biggest takeaways from the first round of the NBA playoffs as well? Now let me know, what are some of your guys' biggest matchups you guys are looking forward to in round 2 of the NBA playoffs? But that's it for this video. Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe down below for more NBA and Jacksonville Jaguars content as well. That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much, and I'm out, boys. Peace!